In 1873, Camp Lowell transferred from downtown about 7 miles northeast to where we're standing today in what would become Fort Lowell. Dave Durham was the contractor hired by the U.S. Army to build the buildings which would constitute the footprint of the fort. One of the major buildings that survives to today is the Commissary building, which we're standing in now. The fort was decommissioned in 1891. The property and all of the buildings were either leased or auctioned off. And this became part of a large agricultural property that had frontage along the Rio Ito with irrigation canals to produce all sorts of farming, including strawberries and chilies and corn. The building slowly deteriorated in the environment and conditions of southern Arizona. Adobe, which is an unstabilized mud brick, erodes if it's not cared for regularly, particularly with monsoon rains and storms. So the building started to deteriorate, but around the turn of the century and in the 1910s and 20s, it became a home to a number of Mexican-American farming families. And in 1941-42, it was purchased by Charles Bolsius, his brother Pete, and his sister-in-law Nan, who envisioned creating a series of apartments to host their friends and other artists who were living in the area. The property that we see today is really a vernacular expression of Pueblo Revival architecture. The Bolsius family took the more formal territorial buildings and converted them into a Pueblo Revival style, which is what we see the stylistic treatment on the front facade. This is characterized by rounded corners, hand-applied plaster, lots of ornamental and decorative woodwork, which we see throughout the property. The construction and reconstruction of the adobe ruins were halted by World War II when Charles Bolsius went off to serve in Europe during the war, and he came back following the end of the war and began reconstruction of the properties in earnest. The property continued to be apartments until it was purchased by the city about 10 years ago, with a plan for integration into Fort Lowell Park and accessibility from the public. Some of the incredible interior features of the 5 apartments include the classic Bolsius carving and woodwork in the corbels and doors, as well as ornamentation and details throughout. Beautiful views of the Santa Catalina Mountains extend from the porch that we're standing on, looking across the Rio Ito Valley to the craggy peaks of the Santa Catalinas. The buildings typify the style of Tucson in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and really are a continuum of the rich and varied history of our region.